For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. On infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who want it until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
Violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs, hurting businesses, and burning down buildings. They are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.
Greetings, fellow thought criminals, and thank you for joining the Insurrection. I'm Michael Lauber. This is Derrick Evans. It's Friday, and it's been yet another glorious week, and I'm sure there's only even more good news on the horizon.
I'll just have to tell you, Mike, I've been thinking about it. I don't think I'm ever going to get tired of all the winning. I just don't think it's possible. I hope that I do, but I don't think that it's possible. This is amazing. This is awesome. As always, guys, like, share, subscribe, all those good things. If you're watching live, hop in the comments. We'll do our very best to give you guys a shout out. Kind of like this. We already got Sean over here in the Getter chat. We got Dan Dreyer in the Rumble chat, and then the X chat. I missed a few earlier, but we got Thaddeus over here right now. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. We got an awesome show lineup for you guys. We got an awesome, I don't know if she's a guest anymore. I'd say she's more of a friend of the show. Miriam Shaw, welcome back.
Thank you guys so much. It's such an honor to be here. Love your show and love what you're doing. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. And you can also find Miriam's show, Mission for Freedom, on X American News every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m., correct? 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yes, Eastern. That's right.
All right. Well, before we jump into things this morning, well, I guess first, could you give our audience a quick rundown background, who you are, just in case they forgot or they're new to the program?
Yes. So I'm Miriam Shaw, as they said, and I have a show called Mission for Freedom. And really our goal, we're all freedom fighters right here, but our goal with Mission for Freedom is to stand for truth in different areas, politically, spiritually, financially, educationally, economically, all these areas. And so we'll have various guests on, like Dr. Peter McCullough regarding health, or financial guys regarding, freedom financially. And it's really great to pursue freedom in all those areas and connect with fellow freedom fighters as well.
Well, again, the work you're doing over there is awesome. And, our audience, you guys should check out her program too. Like I said, 7 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you can catch it right here on X American News. Well, before we kind of get into the more serious stuff, I wanted to share a few photos with you. Derrick, what's in this one?
Well, I don't know what you call that thing at the top, in the top photo. I don't know what that is. That is, those are going to be the dark ages of America, I believe. Our grandchildren's going to come to us and be like, what the heck were you guys doing? That's what that's going to be about. It's scary to think about that. I mean, you remember middle school kids, they do these social studies projects where they go ask old people what it was like. I fear the questions are going to be asked about this time frame. But the bottom picture is Pete Hegseth doing push-ups with our troops in Poland. This man is amazing. This is why the people, the boots on the ground, if you will, love and respect him so much.
Yeah, and this is, after there's a video came out just a couple days ago, him doing the same thing, working out with them, going on a run in the morning over in Germany, I believe. Then we have this. This is just great. So this is a picture from inside the Oval Office, the Trump White House. He was meeting with Modi, the Prime Minister of India. And in the background, you'll see a little red arrow pointing to something out in the hallway. Well, that's Trump's mugshot from Atlanta. He's got it up in the White House.
Awesome. That's awesome. That is so awesome. I love that he has embraced that because, I mean, when you really think about that, if we went through that, that is absolutely horrific. But the fact that he had that's probably one of the world's most shared photographs,
Yeah.
ever. And the fact that he embraced that, had a killer look on his face, and now he's posting, I mean, making a mockery of them. I absolutely love it. He's the best at that.
Yeah.
It is awesome. I saw that this morning and I was like, no way, this is not what I think it is. I started looking, I was like, that's what that is. And I agree with you. I think it's amazing. It's right there as well as you're walking into the hallway. So like everybody has
Best.
to look at it as they're leaving
Yes.
there. You know, it's a good conversation starter as well as some of these world leaders. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. I love his sense of humor, if you will, as well as his classy, as you described it, way of sticking his finger in the eye of these people when necessary. But I thought it was awesome. It made my day.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's an absolutely iconic image anyway, and to put it right there, and again, to put it, it's going to be a thumb in the eye every time these Democrat losers walk into the White House to try to beg Trump for something. They're going to have to look at it first too. Well, let's go ahead and jump into things. So we do have a lot to cover. It's Friday, and I want to get to as much as we possibly can. So Trump announces reciprocal tariffs to counter global trade barriers. And again, this is brilliant. People in our media are just absolutely just losing it over this. But, this is what it takes. As we've stated on here multiple times now, a lot of our allies and trading partners have not been living up to their obligations in various trade agreements. And again, there's many nations that have tariffs on U.S. goods, and we have nothing in return on them. So I think it's time for this. If we want to have real fair trade, this is how you accomplish it.
Hey, check out these numbers, guys. I heard this yesterday, and I wanted to share this with you today. So I think the important thing, you're going to hear the left, radical, Marxist, communists in our country screaming about this, and USAID and all the things, right, where we're wasting our money and actually supporting atheism. We've done that with USAID in Nepal, 500,000 given to Nepal to support atheism. But I digress. So India, this is really important. So we are charged 9%. But they pay us 3%. Completely not fair. Europe, they charge us 10% on our cars. We charge them 2.5%. And then this is a phenomenal number. $370 billion of tariffs we are paying. And that is 3/4 of the world's GDP. But we have coming in 57 billion are coming in, and that's 1/4 of the world's GDP. So, I mean, it's completely lopsided and it's completely unfair. And what Trump is doing is just making it fair. And that's why he's calling it reciprocal tariffs.
Yeah. And so the audience is aware. You have that difference of 370 billion going out, 57 billion coming in. We, the taxpayers, are paying that difference. That was in that report as well. So I don't understand anybody's upset with this. I do need to clear some chats really quick as it's popping off over here, man. We've got K3 and FG and Sean blowing up the Getter chat. Appreciate you guys. And then Thaddeus says it's always good to see Miriam on the show. We got Teresa, we got Armand, and DS over here as well. Appreciate you guys. Back to the tariff conversation, though. I guess this is ignorance on my part. I mean, I just assumed that we were already charging the same amount they're charging us. I just assumed that was going to happen. I don't know why I'm frozen. I just assumed that was going to happen, though. I don't know what I thought. I thought maybe we were charging way more. To me, it's common sense that we're going to charge at the very least what they're charging us. I don't know why that's not like the starting point of negotiations from there.
You know what? This is my opinion. I think it could be the thought process is this. We're going to help you out. We have the strongest economy in the world, so we're going to take a hit. Look at our tax system. I mean, look at the way the rich have, they pay whatever, 30, 40, or 38 to 40% income tax. And then, if you don't make this much, then, your percentage goes down. I mean, why is that? And I feel like it's that same type of lens that's being applied to tariffs.
Oh yeah, I agree completely. And this is just a vestige. I think you kind of hit on it, Derek, that you would have assumed things would have been even, or we would have been doing this for decades just to even protect our own interests or just to keep things balanced. But this is just another vestige of this globalist democratic world order that we're trying to rid ourselves of. They like it when all these dollars exit America and make us weaker and pump up countries around the world. They see it as like, in our, they think it's a good thing that all these dollars are leaving the country, making us weaker, because what they really want is a globalist system. And that's part of how you achieve it, by weakening us, the United States. A lot of these, and it really actually goes beyond just the tariffs that are captured in this article and other ones, because you also have to look at a lot of these other taxes that they don't call tariffs but serve the same effect. We went through this with Canada a few weeks ago, all the taxes on U.S. dairy products and other things, meat, and certain items that are produced here, that they have these just exorbitant taxes, but those are ignored because they don't call them a tariff. Same with the VAT, the value added tax from Europe and other nations. Well, we end up paying that as things go out and leave our country, but they don't look at it as being a tariff. So again, leveling this playing field, getting things equal, and getting everybody on a fair footing, that's what's really necessary. And again, this will bring jobs back to America, bring wealth back to America, and end this constant outflow of U.S. dollars.
I'll say this too. It's so frustrating. So, they already steal our money. We already see that they're spending our money in ways that we don't approve of or don't want, or doesn't even make sense. But then you find out that, I don't know if this is even negligent at this point. I don't know how you could argue that this is negligence, but like, they are so bad with our money that despite everything else in terms of the things that they're knowingly, fraudulently spending and doing, pushing their left-wing narrative, but like, even on this simple thing as trade, like, how long has this been going on? I mean, we've heard President Trump speak about this since 2015 at the very least, in terms of these other countries taking advantage of us. But how long has this been going on, where, for instance, India is we're paying them way more than they're paying us? I'm sorry, but like, it's not our job to be a charity to the rest of the world. Exactly. I don't want my tax dollars going to that. Americans are charitable people anyways. That's our Christian faith. Mm-hmm. Give this money back to the taxpayers. And guess what? India or whoever else can start a GoFundMe account if they want to, and Bleeding Heart liberals, if they want to donate their money to other countries, then they can. I will choose to donate my money to American needs here at home, but give the money back to the people and let them decide that. Like they're stealing our money, and then they're dictating and saying they're going to donate it to this group or that group on our behalf. No, like, give me the money and I'll decide what to do with it.
It's totally DEI, right? This is the equity part of it, and I think that you both have hit the nail on the head. I mean, this is actually propelling globalism and trying to keep us all on a equal outcome basis, right? But when you think about it, America's been the one that people call to for help. I mean, we've heard this over and over. If Trump doesn't get in, like, if America goes down, the globe goes down. And we've heard lots of people say that. And so, I mean, therein lies the goal, right? I mean, you've all know Harari, World Economic Forum, World Health Organization. I mean, they really want America to go down because we're in the way, right? So I think you've hit the nail on the head. And, really, it's like when you fly, you're flying on an airplane, and they say to the parents, put the oxygen on yourself and then put it on your child. And what we're doing is we're taking the oxygen, we're putting it on the child, all the children. And then what's going to happen? I mean, the parent's going to die and you can't help. And I think that's the whole goal, really.
Yeah. Well, we're not even putting the oxygen on the child. We're putting it on the flight attendant first, and then the child, and then whoever. We're putting ourselves last, which is, suicidal. Well, we also have this in the world of tariffs. Economic alert. Mexican business leaders in Washington to negotiate Trump's tariffs. And again, this is the people of their nation. We saw this with Canada, too. They started talking about moving production to the United States, taking other measures to avoid the tariffs, because that's always what you're going to see happen. So these are Mexican business leaders getting involved, making sure they're not damaged in case their El Presidente down there goes down the wrong route again, and the tariffs are put back on other products, other goods, or just general trade with Mexico.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to give a quick shout out to Kelly Song in the Rumble chat, and a special shout out to Josh C. is me. Appreciate you. And I'll get to the X chats later. This whole thing is, once again, whoever in their right mind thought it was a good idea to try to send our American jobs to other countries. Like, I don't see that there's anyone dumb enough to look at that and think that that was a good idea from a good place, and they're just that dumb. I have to believe that this has been orchestrated on purpose. I think
Yes.
DS over in the X chat said there's a coup going on in America. I believe it's been going on for a long time at this point. And so that is, I think, what we're seeing. And these places are starting to find out that President Trump is not playing around when it comes to this. These jobs will come back to America, or you will be facing tariffs that's going to put you on a level playing field with those who are choosing to have their jobs here in America. And that's the only way that we can do this thing moving forward.
And I think how President Trump has handled it is completely fair. I mean, when he implemented those tariffs, and he said, hey, I'll give you 30 days to see if you can secure our northern and southern border. If you can have a plan to stop fentanyl from coming in. I mean, he's super fair about that. And a lot of people say a lot of things about Trump, good and bad, and they can say he's a bully and he's rash or whatever. But I really think he's been completely fair with this. And there have been people who agree with the tariffs, don't agree with the tariffs, on both conservatives on both sides of the fence. But I have to say this about President Trump, whether you like him or not. I mean, what he's doing from a tariff standpoint with Mexico and Canada has been working. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, results, right? And, you can like him or not, but it is, at least with Mexico and Canada, it's been quite effective.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I think a lot of these people, the mainstream media is lifting up that are freaking out about tariffs are either being intellectually dishonest or they're just complete retards. And either one could be equally applicable. Because we've seen other people like Jamie Dimon, who was against the tariffs prior to Trump winning the election. And then suddenly, a month later, he's out there saying, oh, Trump's tariff plan makes perfect sense. Trying to, take advantage of the situation and make it look like, that he actually knows what he's talking about. But it isn't just the tariffs that we're seeing a positive effect from Trump coming in. We're also seeing this, the Trump effect. U.S. industrial production surges most in 4 years since the election. So just in the last few weeks since Trump took office, we've seen a massive spike up in production here at home. And this is those gears of industry beginning to start turning again. We've seen a 7.8% increase so far. This is going to lead to more hiring and manufacturing, more U.S. production, more good paying jobs here at home, and more dollars coming in from overseas. They buy U.S. manufactured products once again.
Absolutely. Well, Teresa in the X chat says 20 to 30 years of this crap show. No more. We the people have spoken. Thaddeus says a great country cannot be destroyed from the outside without being destroyed from the inside first. And that's exactly what we've been seeing. Yes. On the whole thing of production, I see it firsthand. So I live in West Virginia. Huge steel industry throughout West Virginia, Ohio, Eastern Kentucky, these areas. And I got a lot of family who works at the local nickel plants, the steel mills. And they, during, the worst years of the Biden administration, I mean, they weren't even working 40 hours a week. They were laid off here and there as well. It was very, very difficult for these families. And they've already been told, like, not only are they working all the time, like as much overtime pretty much as you want, like come and get it. They're ramping up production right now. I mean, this is huge. And it's going to take months, if not a year or so, probably before we even start seeing the effects of the downstream jobs, the jobs that, in addition to that, when all these people have extra money and they're going out to eat now and they're buying things and hopefully American-made products, as well as the other industries that supply these major steel mills and such as well. They're going to have to be ramping up production. It's a never-ending thing. I look at it this way. When I go to buy tires for my vehicle, I don't buy them from Walmart or some big place like that. I literally do this. When I'm out at my children's youth sporting events, I look at the fence. Who are the local businesses that are sponsoring my children's events? I don't care if it costs $10 extra for a tire. I'm going to go to that place because they're giving back to my community. Well, that's the same thing in terms of a country. Like, I flip houses and do real estate and everything. And I remember the first time when Trump was in, people were complaining about the tariffs because the cost of drywall screws had went up, and it wasn't significant. It was like $3 or $4 a box extra for like a big box. And but I got to look at it, and I think it was Iowa, somewhere in the Midwest, where it was manufactured. And I was like, I'll gladly pay $4, $5, $10 extra to buy something that I know is putting food on the table of a fellow American in Iowa. I don't have to know them, but I'd much rather buy from them than I would from China. It's probably better quality as well, but that's the way I look at it. And to me, I think we need to have that mindset shift in our country.
That vision, though, Derrick, is a long game, right? I mean, and I think that is the problem, is that there are low information Americans who just get caught up in the narrative of the left and some on the right, just talking about, price increases. Isn't this going to increase prices for Americans, and go down that narrative path? But really, at the end of the day, and I've heard somebody refer to Trump being a great chess player, but really, when you make a chess move, when you make these moves, you have to think, 5 moves ahead. This one move, what type of cycle is that going to create, and where is that going to be in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years by doing that? And it's just a fact that tariffs and these things are going to create more jobs and help our economy. I mean, really, when you look back in history, from the creation of the United States, we didn't even have income tax. I mean, we ran our country 100% based on tariffs back in the day. And it wasn't until the war started that they had to start getting money from us and taxing us, because tariffs weren't enough and they had to fuel that machine. So it's quite interesting when you look at history. Tariffs were just a normal thing back then.
Oh yeah, and again, it makes the most sense and takes the burden off the people. We really want to unleash the American economy and American ingenuity, then remove all these high burdensome taxes, let people spend their own money how they want. I mean, I think we need to get rid of the IRS and go back to supporting the federal government from tariffs, and maybe a small national sales tax on things that people are buying here at home domestically. That way, it's a choice if you're going to spend more on a tax. Guys, we got to go to a break, but it looks like Joy Reid's got us all figured out. Looney Joy Reid claims every single Republican would say yes to Trump selling the U.S. to Russia. Well, she's figured it out, guys. The jig's up.
Yeah, we're all done now. She told us.
Yeah. All right, guys, stay with us. We'll be right back with even more.
Play your Trump card and support Make America Great Again with the Donor Deck. Get your hands on 52 exquisite playing cards, each with powerful quotes from scripture and stunning artwork. Plus, showcase your MAGA pride with a beautiful display case and a reversible challenge coin. By purchasing the Donor Deck, you become an official donor, contributing to our cause and helping President Trump reclaim the White House. Get your Donor Deck today and play your part in making America great again.
Go to the Patriot.tv store and get your Donor Deck now.
Attention business owners and entrepreneurs, Patriot TV is launching a brand new TV series showcasing American-made products, and your business could be featured. Whether you sell your products online on Etsy or Shopify and dream of reaching millions of viewers on smart TVs like Samsung, Sony, TCL, and LG, or apps like Roku, Android, and Apple TV, this is your chance. We're searching for US-based businesses offering all types of products and services proudly made in the USA. If you've ever wanted to showcase your products on TV like QVC or the Home Shopping Network, now's your opportunity. Support our American economy, grow your business, and be seen by loyal Patriot viewers across the country. Know someone with a business or have a business yourself? Don't miss out. Contact us at supportingpatriots.com today. Be a guest on this new exciting TV series. Let's put your American-made products in the spotlight.
What do a neurosurgeon, a country artist, and a television and radio host have in common? They all saw the writing on the wall. Big banks sharing your financial information with big government. Join them as owners in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank that protects your privacy, security, and liberty. Invest today at own.oldglorybank.com.
Thank you for staying with us. And again, the best way to support the Insurrection and all the great programs here on Patriot TV is by supporting our sponsors. You can do that by going to patriot.tv, selecting the Insurrection, and why not open an account with Old Glory Bank or become an investor? I think they're the future, and if enough of us move over there and start supporting institutions that don't hate us, we can make an impact on how the banking industry and other industries operate. Well, let me go ahead and pull our next story here. More fraud. President Trump reveals staggering government waste numbers, including $521 billion in fraud per year. And let me just give you a quick rundown on some of this. There's an estimated $236 billion or more in improper payments made. $2.7 trillion in improper payments, including payments that went to the wrong recipient. Made since 2003, $162 billion in total improper payments in 2024, including $15.9 billion for earned income tax credits, which is basically paying people that aren't working anyway. I mean, I know there's a few people that are on. Yeah, I don't even need to get into it. Basically, it's a system that gets massively abused. We see it all the time in the staffing industry. Food stamps, $10.5 billion in fraud. Restaurant Revitalization Fund, $8.7 billion in improper payments and fraud. Supplementary security income, $6.5 billion. Fraudulent unemployment insurance, $5.6 billion. Social Security Disability Insurance and Survivors Program, $8.3 billion, including $6.5 billion in overpayments. And again, this is in 1 year. And think about this. In just 3 weeks, that's all it's taken for this much fraud, waste, and abuse to be uncovered. And we haven't even got into the criminal side of things just yet.
Well, this is criminal. What they're doing is criminal. A lot of this was also sent overseas. We've also found that there were multiple people 150 years and older who were receiving Social Security checks. No joke. Elon Musk announced that people over 150 years old receiving Social Security checks.
It's impressive.
It is very impressive. I mean, it really is. Big. I don't know what's going on there. But I mean, literally, this is fraud at this point. So to your point about not getting into the criminal, we're just now starting to uncover these things. And I think as they start tracing and finding, I would imagine there's going to be some names that we've never even heard of that are popping up that are behind some of this, profiting from this in some way or another. The whole thing, this is a criminal racketeering enterprise, and they need to be charged for it.
I think it's going to be absolutely epic. That's what I believe, because the fact that they've done this in just a few days, really 21 days, it's extraordinary. And what I believe, and I think what we're going to see, is a lot of this is intentional, but some is not, because they're just so jacked up and so dumb and so wasteful and so removed from everything that, it just becomes too big to govern. It's almost like, a company, sometimes products, they take off really fast, or company grows really fast. And sometimes you just can't keep up with it and it goes crazy. And then the company dissolves because it just grew too fast. And so I just think this monster, this government, has become so huge that it's impossible to really keep track of fiscally, civically, safely. It's unbelievable what they've found in just a few days.
Well, and Dan Dreher, go ahead, Mike. Sorry, I thought you was muted. I was just going to say, Dan Dreher brings up a good point over here in the Rumble chat. Says it's like half the country is living on fraud right now, and they really are. Half the country is having their money stolen from them, and the other half is accumulating that stolen wealth, if you will. I mean, look at how much money the Clintons have received. We always wonder, how do these people go into office? As maybe they have some general wealth. I mean, they're not living in, homeless or in Section 8 government housing, but, they're not rich by any means. And then they leave and they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, I think we're starting to find out a lot of that was being funneled to them through U.S. aid. And that's just one agency that we found. Look at all the fraud with that. It's less than 1% of the total budget. And look at all the fraud that's already been discovered with U.S. aid.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of funny when I don't know, you guys, everybody in the chat has seen this too, but we've seen on social media where they put up all the presidents and their income before they became president, and then their income after, and then they put Trump up. And I mean, he's lost a buttload of money, right? So it's like, listen, this guy does not have to do this. I mean, he is literally, he almost lost his life multiple times, but he's lost so much money. And it's just, you just wonder, is it a Nancy Pelosi thing? This trading, she gets so lucky every time, and she just happens to pick, the right trades at the right time. I mean, it's just wild.
Oh, yeah. And I think as they uncover a lot of this money laundering, I mean, forget Epic, it's going to be biblical. You think you've seen screeching so far? Just wait till they start figuring out who some of these programs are connected to, where it's going to spouses and NGOs owned by politicians and other people in government. They've already kind of hinted at this. They're putting something together, and they're also looking into government employees that have massively increased their wealth while working for government, to make sure none of this came from illicit activity, or, issuing a grant to yourself or to your spouse and then pocketing, say, 80% of it and then sending the other 20% off for, drag operas in Guatemala or whatever. But, the fact that, again, like, this is being uncovered, the American people are furious, but then we have these Democrat operatives posing as journalists in the dinosaur media, which really is the state media, as we've seen money now flowing into their hands there, too. They're out there defending it. This is part of why you're seeing this collapse in support for Democrats, because, again, your average person sees exactly what's going on here. They see this level of fraud and mismanagement of our funds, and they are furious. Now, it's like to your point there too, Derrick, yeah, some of this probably is just government so big and so bloated that things have gone out of control and things get missed. And that's probably how you end up with a lot of people that are 150 years old still receiving Social Security checks, that our government's priorities for these bureaucrats are just so screwed up that they're not looking for waste, fraud, and abuse at the level they should be. And part of that's because they're participating in it. They're the ones creating a lot of these grants and mismanagement and dumping our funds to people in places that don't need it for things that we don't want to fund as a whole. And I think that is all changing right now. And they're scared because, like you said, Derrick, so far we've only really dug into USAID. As we get into other programs through the State Department, other agencies, especially through the Department of Education, I think Americans are going to be even more furious as more gets uncovered there.
I'm super fascinated about the Department of Education. I mean, that's kind of where I started when I started my podcast. And so I am I think it was just like 3 or 4 days ago, Trump was saying he was going to have Elon look into that within the next 24 hours. And I mean, I think everywhere they look, they're going to find massive, massive amounts of fraud. But I am incredibly curious about the Department of Education. I can't even imagine what they're going to find there.
Well, we know the corruption we're seeing on the surface level of the Department of Education. I can only imagine what is below the surface that we haven't seen. But I wanted to really get to the comment first. Josh brought up a really good point. I haven't heard a whole lot of people talking about this specifically in regards to this. So I wanted to bring it up. He says, with all this fraud and stuff going on, and yet those of us who have needed and actually do need the help has to go through hoops, and at least half the time they're denied that help. And so that's the frustrating thing. You got all this government waste, fraud, and abuse. And then, you have people who have worked their whole lives. Maybe they are laid off right now. Maybe it's a steel worker or somebody in the natural energy sector or something gets laid off under Biden. And it sucks. They'd have to swallow their pride and go and apply and try to get help. And then they're denied the help, which is what the programs were originally intended for. And these are the people who actually need it and they can't get the help. But then you have all this, not only the people who are just, going around the system and milking it and living off of it, but you have multimillionaires like the Clintons who are getting all this money. And you got people out here who really need it. But I could only imagine what went through these Doge college kids' heads when they logged in. They're probably like, Social Security, I wonder who the oldest person is. They sorted it by date of birth, and they're like, holy crap, this person was born during the Civil War. I mean, we're talking
173.
Wow. I want to take their vitamins.
They're like, something's wrong here. So, I mean, it's not like it was probably that difficult to find. They probably found that within the first 20 minutes of having access to the system. And this has been going on for years and years and years. And nobody, not only do they not care, they're okay with it. They're complicit in it. I mean, that's what's crazy to me about all this.
It pads their own pocket, right? So I mean, and it's a super communist move because they don't care about the peasants. And really, when they can capture us financially, they can obviously they want to take our guns. I mean, when they can do that, I mean, they've controlled us. And so I mean, I just think it's a super communist Marxist move to take our money from us to line their own pockets.
Yeah. Well, and then this is the other question I have is who the hell's been cashing these checks for the last 50 to 70 years for some of these people? You know, if we really do have anybody alive that's 150 and hasn't, stepped forward to claim their prize till now, I think RFK Jr. needs to pay him a visit and, again, find out what their diet is because they're clearly doing something right. They've got some piece of the puzzle the rest of us have missed. Well, we got some more good.
Food.
Yeah, we got some more good news. House Republicans strike deal to cut $1.5 trillion from the budget, paving the way for Trump's legislative agenda. It's astonishing that there's that right off the bat they can find $1.5 trillion to cut, trillion with a T.
That's amazing. That's absolutely. I mean, it's like you said. I mean, it's going to be of biblical proportions. It will be the most epic historical thing. I mean, if they found this so quickly, I mean, listen, 21 days. I mean, what has happened in the last few days hasn't happened in years with any other president or any other leader. So it's just fascinating to me that they can find this so quickly. Imagine when they take time to really dig what they'll find.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give a quick shout out to Michelle and Fed Up over here in the X chat. Guys, I'm sorry I've not gotten the X chats up to date as much, so I apologize if I missed you. Throw another comment in there. We'll get you the next go around. But this is beyond frustrating to me, though, on this, that the Republicans in Congress have magically found $1.5 trillion to cut from the budget. Is everyone forgetting that Republicans have had control of the House for the last 2 years of the Biden administration, and all spending originates in the U.S. House? They could have cut this much or held the line and at least negotiated to get some of this cut much sooner. These Republicans, elected Republicans in Congress, need to be held accountable because they're complicit in all of this. Think back to every single time that there's been a 5,000-page omnibus bill. All of us are on X and making phone calls, sending emails, and making posts on X, begging them, don't vote for this. Look at all the waste that's in there. But no, they want to go home on that Friday before lunchtime. So they just go push the button and pass the whole thing and then send out fundraising emails about how they're attempting to make changes. These people need called out. They need held accountable. And as far as I'm concerned, with as much as already been found, they all need to be primaried. Anybody who's been voting for these omnibus and CR bills over the last few years, the last decade, the last 20 years, they need to be primaried and kicked out of office for their, if nothing else, if they're not fraud, if it's not abuse, if nothing else, for incompetence to get us to this point to begin with, and for being so spineless and so weak that they were just pushing the buttons to appease the leadership at that time, which is what they're doing now. They don't really believe in cutting this waste. But President Trump is the leader, and they're just falling in line like the spineless jellyback rhinos that they are to push the button to appease leadership. We need real people with real values, real constitutional conservative values, willing to hold the line to go run for these positions.
Oh, exactly.
We have our senator here in Oklahoma. You probably have heard of him, sadly, James Lankford. But I mean, who supports and is a co-author of a bill with one of the most radical left senators to include 5,000 illegal immigrants, aliens a day? You know, how is that conservative at all? And now he's, supporting Trump or whatever. So he comes to mind when you say that, Derrick.
He's a perfect example. One of the reddest states in the country, and he's one of the biggest rhinos there is.
Yes.
We all talk about flipping these blue districts red. That shouldn't even be a concern right now. Our main concern should be flipping the red districts red, because we have so many rhinos sitting right now in some of the reddest seats in the entire U.S. Senate and the U.S. House. We've replaced those scumbags with real patriots who have the backbone to stand up and say, I don't care if I miss Christmas with my family. I don't care if you miss Christmas. I don't care. We'll sleep here in this Capitol building for the next 3 months if we have to. They want to talk about the filibuster. I'm sorry, but if they're trying to do this on my watch, I'd wear a catheter. I wouldn't even leave to use the bathroom. I'd say, bring me a bucket and let it fall into the bucket. I'd do whatever it took to prevent this from happening, but they're just going along to get along.
Well, and we had all 77 counties vote for Trump 3 times, all 77. And it's like, how can you be that red and have that crazy person advance some horrific left agenda like that?
Well, that's a big part of the problem is, both sides have benefited from the all-you-can-eat pork buffet of our money, and it's gone on for decades. They trade it back and forth because they have no skin in the game. It's just whatever they can steal, and even then when they run out of money, then they'll just get the treasury to print even more. And this has been the game for decades and decades and decades. So for them to pretend now they're discovering all this waste, fraud, and abuse right along with Trump and the rest of us, no. They knew it was there the whole time. They're the ones that put it there, and you're exactly right, Derrick. And Miriam, it's time for them to pay the price for this. It's time for there to be consequences. There need to be a record number of primaries in this next election season because we need to trim the fat, get rid of these rhinos, these undocumented Democrats, and I've got a feeling the left is going to be losing a lot of seats in this upcoming election too because they continue to support this lunacy, and it's clearly not where the American people are anymore.
This frustrates me beyond belief. I'm serious. Like, I get so frustrated with these little DC political reindeer games that the rhinos attempt to play with all of us, pretending now that they have found all of this $1.5 trillion that they can cut from the budget. Yeah, you ought to be able to find it. You're the ones that hid it there.
Right.
You hid
Exactly.
it there, and then you went and found it and said, give me a pat on the back for finding this. No, you should be primaried for hiding it in the first place. But that's what they're doing to us. They're basically peeing down our backs and telling us it's raining.
It is so unbelievable that you're right. Like they're acting like they're like, oh, look what we just found. And they're acting like we're stupid. Like we didn't know that they had control for those last 2 years. And it's really disrespectful, actually.
It really is. I mean, think about it. They're hiding this stuff, and then they're coming back. They're like, I don't know. It's like they're hiding all these things and then coming to us and saying, look what we found. Send us more fundraising money so that we can find more of the little things that we've hidden over the years. It's appalling. It's insulting to our intelligence. Quite frankly, there's very few things that piss me off more than that. I expect these things from the left, and at least they're at least open and say, hey, we want to destroy America. We want to do these things. Like, they're open about it. I disagree with them, but they're open about it. But you got the Republicans who pretend that, all of a sudden Doge, they're all Doge people. They're all about Department of Government Efficiency. They're all about cutting waste. And it's like, where have you been for the last 30 years? I'm sorry, but they've been nowhere to be found.
And
Exactly.
I mean, not to necessarily go spiritual, but if I know we're believers here. And when you look in the Bible and you look at Jesus, who he got angry with and called out and called a brood of vipers, it was the Pharisees. They were the ones that were like pretending to be all godly and holy, and he called them a brood of vipers. And so I mean, you look at that and I think that's why we get so angry, because it's like, hey, just be honest. But I mean, you can't be honest when you're patting your own pockets, you want to keep your seat, right? But I mean, it is a true injustice, even spiritually.
Yeah, well, I agree. Well, we're going to continue to see, them pretend that they're also not all aboard on this. But, at the end of the day, when Doge accomplishes their mission, trims all this waste, fraud, and abuse, introduces efficiency into government, I just hope they write off a little bit of money. And, I'm okay with spending it on a statue to honor Elon Musk and all these brave young men that have gone through and shown our whole nation what's really been going on behind the scenes. Guys, we got to take another quick break, and we'll be right back with even more.
Have a new product or idea, whether it's already in production or just a concept. Whether you're an individual, a small business, or a medium-sized company, our upcoming show on Patriot TV is here to showcase it to millions and launch it in a big way. We're looking for businesses like yours to feature your product on our new show and pitch it to over 6 million followers, eager to support like-minded businesses. Whether it's a single product or a new product line, we have a platform to skyrocket sales. With powerful Patriot TV ads, targeted direct mail, and the influence of our dynamic show hosts, your product will get the attention it deserves. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Email us now at advertise@patriot.tv to secure your spot and watch your sales take off.
I couldn't give anything a higher endorsement.
I would be remiss had I not include Cardio Miracle on my very short list of secrets.
It's the real deal. It's a real product. It's not another supplement.
I'm operating about 6 to 8 hours, and I've noticed that being on this Cardio Miracle has made a huge difference.
Since I started taking Cardio Miracle, about 8 months into it, the benefits have been fantastic.
You know, if I get hungry, then I just have a Cardio Miracle.
Not only is it safe, but it's necessary to take Cardio Miracle to stay well.
This let me sleep. It's filling up more energy, more get up and go. And it's all because of what this company does.
For me as a doctor, Cardio Miracle is a staple.
Cardio Miracle to me is hope in a glass.
To try Cardio Miracle for yourself and get a special fan discount, go to the host page right now and click the link for Cardio Miracle.
Guys, thank you for staying with us. And again, the best way to support our program and all the programs here on Patriot TV is by supporting our sponsors. Well, we got limited time and a few more things to get to, so here we go. Marco Rubio's flight to crucial Ukraine peace negotiation turns back mid-Atlantic. So it looks like they, and I don't know if they had a bird strike or what may have happened, but there was a crack in the windshield. They didn't think it was anybody's lives were in danger. The plane was in danger going down, but they decided for safety reasons to turn back, switch planes, and Marco Rubio is over there now at the summit where he'll be meeting J.D. Vance. And actually, let me just go ahead and pull the next slide, and we'll have a full discussion. Vance warns the U.S. could use sanctions and military action if Russia doesn't agree to end the Ukraine war. Now, it sounds like to me, based on the conversations that Trump and Putin have already had, that Putin is in alignment with wherever Trump is on the peace negotiations there. And I think this is a good thing. As Trump stated many times, he wants the killing and the dying to end, that is the main goal. But we also do need to put some pressure on Ukraine because we need to, one, find out, we need a full, complete audit of where this money went to. Their generals that pocketed money, they need to be prosecuted. And any of it that went to kickbacks here to people in the United States, whether they're elected or other bureaucrats, I believe they also need to be prosecuted.
Well, leave that up for a second if you can, Mike, if you don't mind, just for 1 second. Not a knock on Zero Hedge by any means. I'm sure they got that headline from the Wall Street Journal. But Don Jr. has actually, no, seriously, Don Jr. actually tweeted about this earlier, and I meant to send this to you. It's my fault. So the Wall Street Journal printed that headline, and then Don Jr. took the headline and then printed the actual transcript of what J.D. Vance said. He never mentioned anything about military action or anything like that against Russia. And, it really begs the question, like, I mean, at this point, with what they did, with what that headline for being a major news publication, talking about the vice president of the United States, spreading lies about war of our, I mean, that is actually pretty dangerous to do that. I believe the Wall Street Journal should have their press passes revoked from the White House at this point just for printing something like that. But you guys should check that out. I mean, I posted it as well, but it's on my X feed here too. But Don Jr. talked about it as well and put that out there and has the full transcript of the conversation they had. I have no idea where they got this headline from. It's worse than fake news. It's 100% fabricated. It's mind blowing.
Well, I think it's kind of scary because when you were watching yesterday, when Trump was talking about his talks with Putin, I mean, it's Trump can smooth things out and make them maybe, he might exaggerate from time to time. But I mean, he kept saying that we want the same thing. We want to de-nuke our countries. That's the goal. And he said, we have plenty of nukes to blow up the globe. I can't remember. I think he said 10 times or something. And so, I mean, they sounded like they were on the same page. So when Zero Hedge, when you shared that, I thought that is so strange because that seems a little inflammatory compared to Trump's talks yesterday when he was in his Oval Office and he was talking with reporters. He was like, hey, we got along great. We want the same thing. We're moving forward. And, then he's going to talk with Zelensky and then he's going to bring them together and talk. I mean, it sounded very promising. It didn't sound so inflammatory like that statement.
Now you have to ask yourself, why would a major news publication completely fabricate something like that the vice president said about one of our enemies like this? I mean, this is like, middle school message board drama type things that they're just making stuff up. The old telephone. I don't know. I don't even know where this came from. But to me, this is potentially, I mean, luckily, I believe Putin is smart enough to just pick up the phone or to do some research on that. But like, you have to wonder what was their motive behind doing this, because it's pretty dangerous to do that.
Well, you know, this is just par for the course. This is exactly what we've seen out of our media here over and over and over again, where they just generate headlines out of thin air. They want to generate a certain narrative, so they'll have an anonymous source that never comes forward. They'll have some other thing where they just pull something out of created out of whole cloth, and there is no basis for it whatsoever. But yeah, this is a great example, because again, this is really dangerous. And again, that's not to say that other stories they made up during Trump's first 4 years in office or the 4 years in between, the other fake news, fake stories, fake headlines haven't also been damaging. But I do think our media is now paying the massive price for that, as are the Democrats, because if you continue to support and spout off nonsense, eventually the American people catch on, especially when it's something like this, where they're going to be forced to issue corrections and other things going forward.
Well, you know, the media, we already knew this, but, you know, Trump, I thought it was hilarious when he first started calling them the fake news. But I mean, even now you hear Joy Reid, all the talking heads, they're all now saying constitutional crisis. And it's mind blowing to me how they come up with these words. They used to say that inflation was transitory. Remember that? I mean, that was their word for a while, you know. Trump is a threat to democracy. I mean, they literally get the memo and just share it. You know, since the media is owned by so few people, they get these narratives, these words, and they just share them. And Saul Alinsky said, you know, you control the language, you control the masses. And so, I mean, they are never going to let go of this. But I think you're right. I mean, this is dangerous, and maybe they should be sued over this.
Absolutely, Mike. I see you smiling. I know. Listen, the White House posted that. Okay,
did they really?
Yes, the White House is supposed to. So that's what I was wanting to say is one of my favorite things right now about this administration too is how much fun they're really having. I mean, some of the things like the rapid response account on X is amazing. They're out here fact checking. They're out here just saying some really funny stuff. Mike's going to pull up, I think, something that the White House account just posted. It's hilarious. It's a Valentine's thing of Donald Trump and Tom Homan. It is hilarious. But once again, the fact that our actual White House account is posting this just makes it hilarious to me. And I love that they're having fun with all this right now.
Oh, yeah. Give me another second to get this up for everybody. I think you're really going to enjoy this. I got to add it into our little slideshow.
No worries. I'll get some shout outs really quick. We've got, and I guess, sorry again, guys, I'm missing people today. We got Toms 78 over here. Sorry if I said that wrong. We got Michelle in here. And this is all in my X chat on here. And then FG, Sean, you guys have been holding it down over here in the Getter chat. Appreciate you guys. Josh, Dan Dreyer, and Kelly Song. Appreciate you guys in the Rumble chat. Really do. There it is.
So here we go. Roses are red, violets are blue. Come here illegally and we'll deport you. With Trump and Tom. The perfect Valentine, you know, that you can get.
The White House account posted that.
Yes.
That's so great. Because you'd see that maybe on social media, but coming from the White House. And let's be honest, we have been so depressed and probably scared over the last 4 years. I mean, it's been horrific, and it's so nice to laugh again.
Yeah. Well, you know what's going to happen is tonight. This is going to be this is going to be the talking point for tonight. Is how inappropriate and evil this was to scare all these illegal aliens that are here within our borders, and to it's practically sacrilege to use this holiday in order to do so. We're almost out of time, and I want to make sure we at least get to these last couple things here too, real quick. 14 states sue to block DOJ from uncovering government abuses and slashing waste. And, this is the Democrats just putting another nail in their coffin. The American people are sick of this, and the more and more that's been uncovered, the more popular Trump's become. CNN literally this morning just had another clip with, again, my boy Harry Enton, giving him the facts, telling him exactly where Trump stands, that his popularity continues to increase, that he's had more days above water, being more popular than unpopular. More people are behind him so far in this term than he did during his entire first term, which is just insane.
It really is. And once again, these states, I mean, talk about a weird hill to die on. I mean, the transgender stuff is really weird too, but like, I just can't believe they're out here actually openly, publicly defending government waste, fraud, and abuse. I mean, that's literally what the Democrats are doing right now. They are publicly defending government waste, fraud, and abuse. I don't understand what their rationale is behind that, but I'm glad they're doing it. I'm glad they're dumb enough to be honest enough about that. I feel like but before Trump, I feel like Trump maybe broke the Democrats, because before Trump, they would have pretended that they were opposed to government fraud, waste, and abuse, but we all knew that they were okay with it and then doing those things, but they were saying the correct things in public. It's like President Trump has just broken them to the point they're so infested with their TDS that they don't know how to think properly anymore, and they're just out here just being crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing I that's interesting, Derrick, on that is that, they're still not saying, hey, we're for all this. What I see them doing too, in addition, is that they're getting all emotional. And we saw that, I can't remember his name, but that African American dude the other day, just talking about Musk this, and they're dropping the F-bomb or whatever. But they're trying to create a narrative like, hey, these children are dying because you're not giving money to USAID, and they're going down that emotional path, if you will, and they're just not even talking about the waste. I mean, you're right. Like, they're supporting the waste, they're supporting all of that, but they're not even talking about, they're making it an emotional thing because they're trying to control the narrative, and they're trying to capture these low information folks, Americans who don't really research the truth, but just trying to kind of do the sleight of hand, like, don't look over here, look here, follow the emotions.
That's a great point, Miriam, because the left likes to say that Trump supporters are uneducated, white collar, blue collar Trump supporters. But really, if you really think about it, I would say that the left are the ones that are uneducated, at least in this aspect. They might have a piece of paper, a degree of some sort, but they're uneducated politically in terms of these things, because they are being brainwashed into believing that government waste, fraud, and abuse is okay. They're being brainwashed into saying sexually mutilating children are okay. You have to be an uneducated person to allow yourself to be brainwashed to that extreme. And that's how extremely brainwashed they are.
Or you hate America and want to destroy it, like AOC and all of her, partners in crime.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's part of the bottom line is they operate on emotion, and again, they'll lie to themselves over and over again if they think it's somehow beneficial, and lie to their constituents. And that's part of why this is catching up to them right now, and why the Democrat Party is at an all-time low in public approval. Well, they're going to get ready to cry a lot more. Trump and Doge fire layoff bazooka, target 200,000 federal workers on probation. How do we have 200,000 federal workers on probation that haven't already been terminated? How is this allowed to grow to this kind of number and nobody did anything about it?
How many of them have been on probation for 150 years? That's what I want to know right now.
Their termination papers are in the cave with all the folks who are applying to retire.
Oh my gosh, you're probably not wrong. Unfortunately, we are out of time. Miriam, any words of wisdom you want to leave our audience with?
Hey, I just want to say thanks for listening. You guys have the best audience, and I'd be so honored if folks followed Mission for Freedom on Rumble or X or any of the platforms. But I'm just honored to be here, and I'm grateful for you guys speaking the truth and causing us to do the same.
Well, thank you for joining us today. And again, we'll have you back again soon. To our audience, please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. We'll be back again on Monday with even more.